Hey teachers, in this quick explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to teach phonics for those tricky multisyllabic words in your classroom. We're zeroing in on standard 35.fp4. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by really unpacking the standard. Then I'll walk you through a step-by-step taking model. After that, we'll look at how to build up practice, how to differentiate for all your learners, and finally, how to check for real understanding. Okay, let's dive right in and decode the standard itself. What are we really asking our students to know and be able to do when we teach 3.5 FP4? First things first, let's get on the same page with two key terms, decode and encode. Just think of them as two sides of the same coin. Decoding is when students break apart words to read them. Encoding is when they put sounds together to write or spell. What's so great about this standard is that it builds both of these skills at the very same time. So what's the big goal here? Well, it's all about empowering our students. We want them to become word detectives. By the time they've got this down, they won't just be sounding out words. They'll be able to confidently break down really complex words into their core parts, spotting syllables, prefixes, and suffixes, so they can read and write like pros. Okay, now for the really fun part. How do we actually teach this stuff? Let's walk through a proven evidence-based routine that you can use for your explicit instruction. That's the I do part of your lesson. This whole routine breaks down into 4 super simple but really powerful steps. You say the word, ask for the base word, map it out, and then analyze the changes. Following this sequence gives students a clear, predictable structure, which is absolutely key for building mastery. All right, to really see this in action, we're going to model it using the word election. This will show you exactly what this strategy can look and sound like in your classroom. So you kick things off by saying the full word nice and clear, election. Then you immediately focus their listening with one key question. What is the base word in election? This gets them to start listening for the core of the word right away. And what you're looking for here is for your students to hear and pull out that base word elect. Getting this first step right helps them tune their ears to how words are built. Okay, this next step is where the magic really happens. We're going to make the sounds visible. This technique is called phoneme-grapheme mapping, and it's all about making that solid connection between the sounds kids hear, the phonemes, and the letters they see on the page, the graphemes. You'd be up at the board drawing boxes for each individual sound. As you stretch out elect, E, L, E, you'll write the letter that makes each sound in its own box. This is such a powerful multisensory step for learners. And here's the final step, where we put it all back together and really analyze what's going on. You focus their attention on the end of the word, asking, what is the suffix? Then you guide them to hear the change. Listen closely. How does that t sound in elect change when we add ion to make election? And this right here is where you'll see those light bulbs go off. Students identify the suffix is ion, and they realize that the final T sound in elect morphs into a sh sound in election. This is a huge unlock for them, because that TION pattern shows up in thousands of words. They're not just reading one word anymore. They're learning a rule that helps them read a ton of words. All right, so once you've modeled the strategy, it's time to move into the next phase of the lesson, and that's all about building student independence using the gradual release model. You probably know this flow like the back of your hand. I do, we do, you do. You've just done the I do part with your direct modeling. Now it's time to shift into guided practice where you work together, and then independent practice where they get to fly solo. So for that we do phase, you could try things like a word sort. Give students a pile of base words and suffixes and have them build new words. Or you could use decodable texts that are loaded with words using that target ion suffix so they can see the pattern again and again in real sentences. And then, when it's time for the you do part, when they're working on their own, students can really take ownership. A morphology journal is a fantastic idea for collecting words. Or you could have a station with magnetic letters so they can physically build and break apart words. Of course, we all know that our classrooms are filled with a whole range of learners, right? So let's talk about how to differentiate this instruction to meet everybody's needs. For your students who need a bit more support, really lean into those multisensory activities. Using magnetic tiles to physically build words is great. For students who are ready for a challenge, you can push them into some advanced word study. You could introduce them to Latin roots and have them explore word families like elect, select, and collect. All right. The big question, after all this modeling and practice,
how do we know if it's actually working? Let's talk about what success really looks and sounds like. What's the evidence of mastery?
See, mastery isn't just a one-time thing. It's when you consistently see students decoding and encoding words with these patterns. When you actually hear them explaining how and why a suffix changes a word, and you see them spelling these words correctly in their own writing, that's when you know it's really sticking.
And to wrap things up, here's a super practical exit ticket you can use right away. This question is great because it does double duty. It checks if they remember the sound change, sure, but it also asks them to explain how that suffix transformed a verb, elect, into a noun, election. It's a fantastic little check to see just how deep their understanding really goes.